Before we jump into the action, I wanted to give a huge shout out to everyone who started following along with the series after the release of the last episode. This is easily the biggest spike of subscribers that this channel has ever seen, and I couldn't be more grateful to you all. This also puts us 6 away from my first subscription goal, which is to reach 500 subscribers. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, or you haven't yet hit the button, please take the time to do so and help me hit that goal. Now that I've thanked you, I need to apologize to you because some mistakes were made. As you'll see in this episode, I end up rolling a couple different chunks, and for some reason, I don't realize that I should have been able to roll the Wizard's Tower chunk multiple times. You are seeing the same exact chunk picker map that I was looking at, so it's blatantly obvious. I have no idea how I missed it, and all I can do is say sorry. It was a genuine accident. And with the pleasantries out of the way, I can now officially welcome you to episode 11 of the Shipwreck series. Welcome back to the chunk picker. If you take a look in the bottom right here, you'll see it's been 47 days since we rolled the South Draenor chunk. I completed the tasks a few days ago, but I wasn't quite ready to roll a new chunk and find out what my fate was, so I gave myself a little break. As you can see, we've completed 30 out of 36. The biggest grind being 48 smithing, and then followed by 30 range. That smithing level gave us some new best in slot armor, and we've got a bunch of drops just to check them off the list. Nothing that actually helps us. This new one, which this is the first time we would be able to roll this Ham Hideout chunk, just has a couple drop table items in it from one of the different goblins that I haven't had access to yet. The two hardest ones are a 1 out of 128 grape drop and a 1 out of 128 red cape drop. Nothing wild there. That being said, I do not want to roll this chunk because of its neighbor chunk, the West Lumbridge Swamp. This chunk, unfortunately, has adamant rocks and coal, so if we were to roll this chunk before we roll Falador proper, then we would be in a smithing grind that is pretty much account ending. I will have to run some numbers, but I believe it would take me probably 2 or 3 years. And the wizards that we killed in Draenor Village, I had to kill 5,000 of them to get to 48 smithing. If I were to want to get up to whatever it takes to smith an adamant plate body, I ran some quick numbers, it would take probably 400 million dark wizard kills. And that is just ridiculous. There's no way I am pulling that off. If I roll one of these chunks, I have not decided what exactly I will do yet. I am just praying that I roll Falador proper first and have access to a furnace, and even though this grind would still suck and take a long time with a furnace, it would be much more feasible. As I mentioned before, I'm just hoping to get West Falador because I want that furnace so that I don't have chunks that are gonna make me bend the rules or just end the account. Yeah, 400 million Dark Wizard kills is just not happening. So I'm either gonna have to bend the rules or end the account, neither of which I want to do. So I'm really just hoping RNG does me a solid and lets me have this furnace before Chunk 3 or West Lumbridge Swamp. And without anything else to say, it is time to click the pick junk button, hold our breath, and if you see this picture, or, well, we can't see that one yet. If you see this picture, there might just be a black screen in the end of the video, honestly. I'm not sure what I'm going to do if I roll that chunk, so, well, let's see what happens. Come on, Falador. The Ham Hideout. Oh, that is so rude. I hate that. Ham hideout. What do we got here? 7 drops that I have to get. Nope, excuse me, 3 drops. Bronze axe, grapes, red cape. And then I just have to kill a giant spider, a goblin, a spider, and a unicorn. But as I just mentioned in the overview, this causes other issues. Means now, next time when we roll, these chunks are available, which is cool. We could get all the way over to Lumbridge. We could also now roll another account-ending chunk. Lumbridge does have a furnace, though, now that I am thinking out loud and looking at the map. So, in a way, I guess this evens out because I now have 2 account-ending chunks, and I now have access to 2 furnaces in the next roll. So, if you include that one down there, that's easy to forget about. That means we have 8 total possible chunks, 2 of which end the account, and 2 of which open the door for a pretty ridiculous grind, but at least makes it doable. So I know I don't usually just jump in and start talking about the next chunk roll, but this one is not going to take long, and we will be back at this screen before you know it, holding our breath and rolling again. For now, though, let's take care of one thing at a time. Let's get down to the ham hideout chunk and slay a few monsters, and I will be back at this screen shortly. We are unlocking a chunk. We are getting level 70 defense. We have acquired a red cape, grapes, and a bronze axe. We are going full Voldemort and murdering an innocent unicorn. We are ridding Lumbridge of some of its nasty spiders. We are rolling another chunk. Wish me luck. Corsair Cove. Ah, man, it's just gonna make me keep sweating this. Not gonna give me a furnace. Not gonna help out with that impending grind. And the only thing for me to do, as you can see here, is complete this quest step. So I will be seeing you real shortly again. Step 2 was literally just to travel here and talk to a few NPCs, so I did. So we'll just cover quickly chunk number 8 now. Is another combat grind because there are shamans here. Would be able to get my first rune weapon and rune armor in the form of rune battle axe and rune full helm. And they also dropped rune med helms. And they have a bunch of ruby drops. Not ruby. Gem drops. Pretty cool drop table. This is some of the end game free to play content. I have access to end game food and I have end game stats. I don't quite have end game gear yet, but we would be able to get some upgrades from chunk number 8. So all in all, I think that would be a pretty fun chunk to get. Kind of similar vibes to chunk number 7. Get a few gear upgrades and knock off one of the end game free to play monsters drop tables. But there's nothing else to say. We know what all these other chunks are. Let's hit this button and pray for continued good luck and maybe some amazing luck finally. Come on, Falador. Come on, Lumbridge. Everything else is okay except for, what is this even called? West Lumbridge Swamp and East Falador. Ooh, no thank you. I want that to be the last thing I clicked on. Superstitious. Here we go. Oh, yes. Thank goodness. Lumbridge unlocked, the actual game's starting chunk. We get to go to the iconic Lumbridge, finally, after all these hours. Which reminds me, I should do a time played update right after this. But wow, yes, finally now, as I've mentioned before, chunk number 1 and chunk number 4 have been removed as death chunks. That being said, they do still suck ass. So let's keep that in mind. Chunk 4 is way easier than Chunk 1, but it makes the the smithing grind reasonable now. We could actually do it, which is really cool. Very thankful that I didn't have to roll one of these death chunks first and make exceptions. Didn't want to do that. And now I don't have to, thanks to some good RNG. Lumbridge. Welcome to this oddly shaped peninsula out here on Corsair Cove for a huge moment for the account. If you remember, I mentioned one side bonus of unlocking Lumbridge, which we have done, is that it gives us access to our first teleport. So, to get to our new chunk, watch this. People who have just started watching RuneScape because of this account, they don't even know about this stuff. I don't even remember how to use it because it's been so long. Home, Lumbridge, teleport. Lumbridge, home, teleport. You get the idea. This one is on a timer. The other teleports take runes. But, wabam! Welcome to the new chunk. Hey, don't be inside of me, man. How's that? What kind of way is that to greet someone? Unlocked 5 new music tracks with this chunk, and they are some bangers. Here is a list on the screen. The obvious highlights being Book of Spells, Autumn Voyage, Dream. I mean, these are just classics. Really happy to be able to add these in the background to my video now that I have them unlocked. First thing I wanted to do is walk down into the basement and get my first leather boots. And I promised a time played update. We are sitting at 13 days and 6 hours. Don't ask me how it can possibly take anyone 13 days and 6 hours in old school RuneScape to get a pair of leather boots. So far, I think one of the most satisfying things to do on a chunk account has to be to complete quests. And that's because you spend so much time in these chunks looking at the NPCs that you know one day will let you complete that quest, but you just don't have access to what you need yet. With Lumbridge, I got everything I needed to be able to complete X marks the spot. And so here I am talking to Veos, who I've been staring at for a while now. And look, he's letting me complete a quest. Feels pretty great to be able to do this, even though the rewards are nothing great. Speaking of quests, the Lumbridge chunk gives me access to quite a bit of quest activity, which is cool. Because as I was just saying, I really enjoy being able to complete a quest on the chunk account. So as you saw, we just finished X marks the spot. I am headed over to complete Cook's Assistant now. As you can see, got everything I need in the inventory. And then I will also be able to start Restless Ghost and Rune Mysteries. Those ones obviously aren't too exciting, but like I said, another quest completion, which we're about to get done right here. You know, another quest point on the chunk locked account. It just feels good. You may think I'm shearing sheep in the background for the sheep shear quest, but no, I'm actually collecting wool for my quote-unquote big grind in the Lumbridge chunk. But just wanted to check off all of the items on the quest list real quick before we get into that. And I'm going to throw this lamp on that same big grind. And that sarcastically big grind is crafting. I actually only have to get to level 8 to make an unstrung amulet. This lamp is going to give us 300 experience and take us straight to level 4, so halfway there, 4 levels to go. 5 crafting. A full inventory of gold and 2 molds. We're on our way back to Lumbridge. Crafty Craft level 6. Crafty Craft level 7. Level 8 has been achieved off camera. Here is me doing the chunk task, which is to craft some unstrung golden amulets. I'll make 4 of them just because I can. And that is the last chunk task complete, which means, as is the theme of this episode, we can go right back to the chunk picker for another roll. This is where things are about to get wild. Look at how many chunks we can now roll. As per my rules, I can now use teleports as a source to get to new chunks, and I can also use the canoe system in Lumbridge. I was just waiting until I had a viable way to get back to my current set of chunks, which obviously, if I die, I end up in Lumbridge, or if I use the Lumbridge teleport, I end up back in Lumbridge, so that's what opens up a lot of those along with the canoe system. And since I already have a very high woodcutting level, I had added the wilderness chunk in as a rollable chunk because I thought I could teleport back to Lumbridge, and obviously if I get PK'd or die to the moss giants I would have ended up back there, but it turns out you are too deep in the wilderness to use teleports, so I actually end up rolling this chunk in the future and learning that the hard way. So it's here for this roll and maybe the next roll, but it does get fixed eventually. It would take all day to go over the different requirements that each of these chunks has, so instead of doing that, we are just going to move straight on to the chunk roll. It's time to hit the chunk button and see what fate has in store. Are we in for a long grind right now, or are we gonna get some more of these simple chunks like 5, 6, and 7, 12 that really are gonna take another 5 minutes and then we'll be right back at this screen? Who knows? Not even me, but let's find out together. So many options. Okay, North Draenor, that is one of the really boring chunks. 1 task. Woo! Vampire Slayer, go start it. That's easy. We're gonna do that and come right back. It seems like every chunk series has that one episode where you just end up rolling chunks over and over because you keep getting simple chunks or chunks that have nothing to do, and apparently this one is mine. The only new chunk that our last roll unlocked was the Draenor Manor chunk. That would require us to complete Ernest the Chicken and a few other things. Very simple, so let's just get into the roll and see what happens. Just give me Falador already, please. Ah, Varrock Square. Interesting. So we have to make use of our magic level to teleport to this new chunk, and 21 tasks. We have to get level 40 so we can get into the crafting guild. Along with that, we need to buy an adamant sword, some ranged gear. Where are we buying this from? Just obtain them. I believe the armor shop here is what sells them. Mithril plate body. Lots of quests started. Can do even a couple steps of some of them. Oh, this is step 4 of Pirate's Treasure. So we are 1 step away from being able to complete that finally, but we need Falador for that. And there are a few very random drops that we need to get. Bear Fur Ring Mold, Intel Report, and then gathering some ornate items, and killing a random NPC. So this one won't take too long, but it is a good bit of work, so let's get into it and get it done. Welcome to the big city of free-to-play of Varrock. It has everything you want, it has everything you need, and we just teleported into it. Almost feels like I'm a normal player now. Welcome to Horvik's Armor Shop. We are going to be selling off our iron plate bodies to stack a little bit of cash which we are going to have to spend in this chunk. These are all best in slot in different ways, so we need to grab those, and there goes 7,000 GP, and we got a few more things to buy. Adamant sword obtained for our new melee best in slot weapon. This is going to make magic, training, and combat just a breeze from here on out. This is a huge upgrade that I hadn't even remembered. Welcome to Varrock's famous Blue Moon Inn, where we have a couple NPCs to take care of in our ridiculous magic setup. Look at this. I'm gonna use magic just for fun because we have a fire staff and all these runes just sitting around. There goes Johnny the Beard. And there is the bear fur we need, so check that off the list. The fastest method for me to get to level 40 crafting so that I can get into the crafting guild and complete this chunk is to use gold objects and just craft as many as I can. And on the way, here's level 55 mining. I can now mine mithril ore, although there is none available in my current chunks. You know what they say, if you're gonna get level 55, you might as well get level 56. So I went and did it. As you all will know if you've been following along, the only furnace I have access to is the one here in Lumbridge, which is not an ideal setup. The bank is up on the 3rd story, gotta walk all the way down and around, up to the furnace, stand there for about a minute, go all the way back up to the 3rd story, rinse and repeat. It is better than hunting nature runes in my opinion, so I am gonna use this, but there's no way to make this grind exciting, so I'll do my best with a montage. Pretty cool moment here after all this time on the account. We've spent so close by, we've been farming these cows for ages for their meat. We've had to just ignore this whole building because we didn't have level 40 crafting or a brown apron, but now look at us go. There's level 40 crafting, there's a brown apron, and we just get to walk on in. Thank you for the welcome. This is mildly useful. Got some gold rock spawns if I ever need to farm gold. This is the best place in free-to-play to do it. We also have first access to silver, and we have some clay, which isn't totally useful to us right now. And the last thing in here that is cool is that somewhere in here there is a tanner. I'm not sure where, honestly. Maybe upstairs. Who's this? Tanner. So we can make... what's the difference between soft and hard leather? Hold on. This is throwing me for a loop. Leather, enemy cowhide. I feel like... I honestly don't know. So we're just gonna guess. I think it's soft. Let's try soft. And then we can use this needle here, yes, and we need to make ourselves leather vambraces. Done. Excuse me, Mr. Tanner, sir. I would also like to have another piece of soft leather because I need to make some leather chaps. Done. And one more time, my good friend, because the last piece of ranging gear I need is the leather cowl. So these are all actually decent upgrades for me because they're my first set of ranging gear, which is why I brought the bow. And there's also some free molds here. We will snag this tiara mold because we need to make a tiara as our last thing to check off the list. And we'll grab that one just because we don't have it. So, forgot to bring the pickaxe. Gonna run down, grab another pickaxe, mine some silver, teleport to Lumbridge, make that tiara, and then we are done with this chunk. So I'll see you guys shortly. Let's see what we get. Looks like we got the mime gloves added to the collection log. Sure, we'll take them. Oh, also mime legs. Very nice, double. And I'm here with the air tiara and the air talisman. Gotta make myself the air tiara. And that is my rune crafting requirement for this chunk. There we go. After way too long trying to remember where I got a hold of a pie dish last time, which I still cannot remember, I just went and crafted one, since I now can, so that I could pick up the beautifully ornate gloves and boots. These things might actually look cool. A little bit. And with all of those little things out of the way, it is finally time to bring this episode to a close. Between all of the chunk rolling and all of the new tasks and items that I got myself access to throughout this video, it has been a wild ride. It is episodes like these that change chunk accounts forever. Thank you to everyone for watching. I really appreciate you tuning in, all of your likes, comments, and subscriptions, and I will see you in the next episode.